everyone, and welcome to the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world show made for the fans by a fan. I am your host, as always, Richard Tiemann. This is the ever-growing, always expanding, ever-growing, award-winning fan show. Thank you. And today is Thursday. It is our last episode of the week, and this weekend is a bit more special than the rest. Not more important than any other episode, but a bit more special because this is the last one before a couple of things. Before really all of the indoor football has concluded for the year. The National Arena League Championship game, its second one, there's only been two of them, this one and last year's, will take place Monday night. I fly out Saturday evening because there is a media day on Sunday, the game Monday night, and then I'll come back home Tuesday. And due to the generous donation and sponsorship for this trip of Bobby Brown and All-Star Bass Fishing and Bass Battles, I'm able to attend. I will fly out, like I said, and that wasn't going to happen earlier. The problem with games, championship games, and not having like a neutral site, right? I mean, the NFL, it's not technically a neutral site because there is a team that plays there 8 games or more, you know, out of the year, and that's who they pick to be their Super Bowl host site. Only sport that does it. Now, I wouldn't mind if you knew every year where a certain event was going to be, because they announce who the Super Bowl host city/stadium will be a few years in advance. I think we know the next couple. And then, of course, they will bid on the next handful of them very soon. But, you know, when it comes to wrestling events, there's a good example. WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, Survivor Series, the Big Four. I wouldn't mind if one of those was in the same place every single year. It'd be like a destination vacation, right? The Pro Bowl was in Hawaii for the longest time. And then it was in Arizona, back to Hawaii. Now it's in Orlando. That seems to be its new home. So you know where that's going to be every year for the most part. And for some people, that kind of makes the whole travel thing a little easier. If you want to go and experience a Pro Bowl, which I don't know why you would, but if it's like, you know what? Let's go to the Pro Bowl. Let's go and just experience it. It's on the bucket list. It's like one of two things left that we haven't checked off. Let's do it. You'd at least know, right? You could plan appropriately. So back to what I was saying. For the championships, for really any other sport, there is not a host city or a neutral site location. And so when it comes to the IFL, NAL, what have you, you know 2 weeks in advance where that game is going to be played. It makes it tough. It does. And we had some last-minute car complications come up that could have very well prevented me, and should have otherwise, from attending, because we had some money set aside for this. We're like, okay, we're going to have to buy the tickets and buy them fast. And, you know, new alternator, new battery later, well, so much for that idea. So Bobby Brown, All-Star Bass Fishing and Bass Battles, was kind enough to say, I will sponsor this trip, and we're going to get you to the championship. You need to be there. I don't know if I need to be there. I feel like I should be there. You know, the fan show and indoor/arena football over the last 3 years have kind of gone hand in hand. So why not? I want to see my friends in the league. I want to watch this season conclude. Been a hell of a season, and we're going to talk all about it. My guests tonight, the coaches for both of the teams in the championship. Coach Gibson, Coach Jason Gibson, James Bond. He's going to be joining us, Columbus Lions head coach. And then, back for more, Coach Billy Back of the Carolina Cobras. He's going to be joining us also. So we'll get both sides. We'll get some last-minute hype, some last-minute conversation. But, you know, it didn't look like it was going to be a trip that would happen. And so here we are. We now have the trip booked. We're going to go to Greensboro, North Carolina, and we're going to see this season finally come to a head And it's going to mark the official conclusion of the 2018 F.A.N Show Tour. And it's been a great tour. It really has been. One of my favorites. It's the second one. Hoping to do the third one next year. We'll see. But that is what this weekend marks. It's the end of a lot of things. End of summer, kind of. I don't really have any other summer plans coming up. But it's okay. You know? It's not goodbye. It's see you later. And with that, that will bring us to today's headlines. And the headlines are breaking news. The IFL, speaking of indoor football, the Indoor Football League has a new face in it. Not a face of the league, but a new member. And that is the expansion team out of Tucson, Arizona. Now, nobody knows what the name is yet, but the powers that be, Kevin Guy, you know him as the head coach of the Arizona Rattlers, this is his baby. He is the owner, the majority owner of this Tucson team that will compete in its first indoor action under the banner, under the brand of the Indoor Football League. Now, this thing came down to like the wire. And what I mean by that is that because each league kind of has a different start and finish time, obviously the NAL being the one that starts the latest, hence its August conclusion, right? IFL starts earlier, hence its July 4th weekend conclusion. CIF starts a little earlier than that, and then the AAL and whatever other leagues are in there, they start somewhere around there as well. But each league has a different starting month, week, what have you. And so you have their annual things will happen accordingly. So this last weekend was the league meetings for the CIF. Champions Indoor Football, which we all know last year had some not so nice things to say or do to the IFL. And I'm not a fan of the CIF. I've made that, I feel, very apparent for their actions last year. And I get, we live in a tit-for-tat world. It's like, you push me, I'm going to push back. Act like an adult. That's all I ask, Act like, be professional. Even if your counterpart isn't acting or conducting themselves as professional, like, it's on you then to kind of be professional at that point. Like, you can be the bigger man or the bigger league in this case. But my whole thing is that, yes, there were wrongdoings on both sides. The IFL and certain parties involved tried to entice, or bribe was the popular word, a few teams, being West Michigan and Bloomington, to come over from the CIF to the IFL. The money would have just helped pay travel, That's a big obstacle that comes up in these leagues. There's not like a bonus or anything. It's just like, we'll help pay your travel costs. Come on over. The teams already wanted to leave. And so they announce, and then Sioux Falls was going to go to the CIF, and the IFL said no, and then they had to come back. So now the CIF is out not one, not two, but three teams, okay? And I heard some people talk that were with the CIF last year. There's a lot of things they don't like about it. That's why teams wanted out. They feel the IFL is the better brand, the better, more consistent, whatever, what have you. And they wanted to leave for maybe just a change of pace, change of scenery, something different. And that's fine. That's perfectly fine. But then, with like a month until kickoff, if that, CIF slaps a lawsuit on the IFL and the teams involved in the enticing, bribing, what have you, and says, you're either going to play for us or no, that wasn't even the thing. IFL, the Sioux Falls, said you're going to play for us or not at all. CIF just said, hey, Bloomington, West Michigan, if we win this, you're not playing at all. It's not like you either play for us or not at all. You're not going to play at all. So now you have the faculty, staff, and players of two teams that could potentially lose out on a season because the rosters for the rest of the teams are full. And yeah, there's a lot of transactions that go on during the regular season, but do you really want to bank on that? Do you really want to live that life where you're waiting for a phone call? No. So they went through, they won. And it was very poorly played out by them because everything that had happened as far as the movement was months prior to this. And then they came back and said, no, think again. and that's why I'm not a fan of the CIF. I get it. You were shoved and you wanted to shove back, but there's like a time limit on this, okay? You can't get shoved by the playground bully on Monday and then a month later decide, and shove him back into a locker. You know? It doesn't work like that. So that's my big thing with the CIF. So it looked like the CIF, though, was going to get a new team. That team being Tucson, because what I had heard from people close to the league and close to the parties involved was that for Coach Kevin Guy to coach a team and to own another would create a conflict of interest within the IFL because the Rattlers belong to the IFL. Makes sense. Everybody else, prior to that, I was like, the IFL makes the most sense. Like, the Rattlers are already in there. That would give them another team to play against. Like, it makes perfect sense. And then I was quickly told the contrary. It creates a conflict of interest. The IFL is technically more expensive to play in as a team. And if you're a first-year team, an expansion team, you kind of want to save some money where you can. And the CIF is technically cheaper. So I was quickly told, my opinion turned around, that they were going to go CIF to help eliminate that conflict of interest and then to basically save them, a little money in their pocket. Well, they had the league meetings for the CIF this last weekend. There was a picture posted by a member of the CIF on a plane in a CIF polo saying exciting news headed to Tucson. So it looks like it's a done deal. And then all of a sudden the website for the Tucson team shows IFL banners all over it. The website was quickly shut down. And then today we got the official press conference, which also came on the heels of the CIF. So it's like all signs pointing to CIF. And then today there's Mike Allshouse, there's the IFL banner, there's all your favorite faces. Tucson coming to the IFL. I don't know what the hell happened. Like, this is the part of the offseason that really gets you. Because that must have been some league meeting in the CIF. That must have been some negotiation in the 48 hours to follow. Because, man, I thought one thing, was convinced of another, made total sense the other way too. And then it happened to go back to the original. Now, I don't know if there's going to be any regulations put in to help detour that conflict of interest, but we shall see. 2019 just got a whole hell of a lot more interesting for the Indoor Football League. Just the indoor landscape in general. The CIF losing teams left and right. It's been reported that Quad City, Omaha, and Bismarck are going to jump ship to join the ways of the Indoor Football League. And good for them. CIF is just not where you want to be. As a team, ownership, it's just not. The grass is greener in the IFL. And by grass, I mean turf, because it's arena football. So there you have it. Tonight's only preseason matchup, Philadelphia Eagles against the Cleveland Browns. That will be on at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. My buddy Chris Cope is in town, and we're going to hang out at the Spokane Comedy Club tonight. You'll be able to hear all of that tomorrow if you're in the Spokane area. Make sure that you get tickets. A very funny man, a buddy of mine. Happy to meet him for the first time. It's going to be a good old time. And let's see here. Oh, yes, the Niners have shipped linebacker Eli Harold to Detroit. That was the trade news today. It's really been quiet otherwise. And Gurley will not play Saturday for the Rams. Goff, I believe, too. Week 2 and 3 is like this. Well, week 3 especially. You either get one last go with your starters or not at all. So you're probably going to see a lot of the B, C, and D squads in these next 2 games, and that's why preseason should only be 2. And with that, don't forget to check out Ethan at Dynamite Enterprises, dynamiteenterprises.com. Customize your world, t-shirts, hats, polos, foam fingers, trophies, you name it, he's got it. Tell him the Fan Show sent you. We'll be right back with my first guest and more of the Fan Show after this. You're listening to the Fan Show, your home for all things football and nonsense. My special guest tonight, Farouk. Farouk, welcome.
He's no expert, but here's the thing. Football and nonsense is what he brings. Sports talk with a twist. It's the Fan Show.
Do you know him as Kevin from the League? It is none other than very funny Steve Ranazisi.
99% of the population doesn't know who I am, but the 1% do, they yell and scream inappropriate things at me in public.
Kyle Ray. Kyle, welcome.
And I was like, wow, I think we just saw the whole Super Bowl, Phyllis. It's like that scene in The Simpsons, like, why rent the movie? I just saw the best part.
Funny man Brad Williams.
Yeah, I'm here. No, I flew in just for your podcast. I've heard about this podcast. I've heard it's fantastic.
It's Mac and Farva, but they are my special guests tonight. Steve Lemmy, Kevin Heffernan.
I was in Mexico for 10 weeks in a Speedo. Like, that was me going to work. I was putting on a Speedo.
Farva is the most fun to play, and it was a blast to do that again, to do Farva again.
So then the makeup artist had to put Vaseline on your body, right?
Yeah.
And then put the powdered sugar on top of that. Is your name really Richard Siemens?
Listen live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night on Spreaker.com or subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and SoundCloud. All right, I am back, but guestless at the moment. We will see. Maybe he got caught up in a meeting. It is championship week, so we will see if Mr. Coach Gibson reaches back out to me. In the meantime, though, we can go over a few more of these NFL headlines and some BattleBots talk, because we love our BattleBots, don't we? We've got the fight card announced for this week. Tomorrow night, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. You're not going to want to miss this one. And we've got, the card is as follows. Okay, what you will see on the Discovery Channel. It will be Warhead taking on Warrior Dragon. Then Axe Backwards taking on Monsoon. Been a while since we've seen Axe Backwards on TV. Petunia versus Yeti. Been a while since we've seen Yeti. Duck versus Tombstone. That will be an interesting matchup. A guy that's all offense against a guy that's all defense. Unstoppable force meeting the immovable object. Tombstone and the Duck. I couldn't think of any more. And then your main event, that's right, that's not the main event. Your main event, though, however, is undefeated Bronco taking on undefeated Sawblaze. Oh, man, this is going to be good. Your bonus fight on the Science Channel Wednesday, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. That will be Make a Rampage against Tantrum. Now, Make a Rampage is one that I feel like should be a much more feared bot. However, it just doesn't seem like it is. But, man, that main event, Bronco and Sawblaze, that's going to be something. That is going to be something. Unless Bronco flips him outside the arena, Sawblaze could take this thing, man. If he drives right, if he avoids the flipper, he could do some damage. Tombstone and Duck, man, how much damage can Duck take? Because, I mean, it's really what you look at when you take on a bot like Tombstone. It's like, how much punishment can you take? You know, can you wear him out? Can you become an armadillo and just make him tire, and then all of a sudden, when the time is right, strike? Like, I don't know. I don't know if that's Duck's strategy, but that's got to be a strategy at some point. Monsoon and Axe backwards. Probably the most intriguing matchup of the weekend. So there is that. And with the NFL news, of course, we mentioned that there was a trade. The Niners are shipping linebacker Eli Harold to Detroit. Details on that are as follows. Per NFL.com, my man Mark Sessler. How about a little trade action to go into your Thursday? Lions have swung a deal with the 49ers acquiring outside linebacker Eli Harold from San Francisco in exchange for Detroit's conditional 7th-round pick in 2020. Source informed of the NFL deal told NFL Network's Mike Garofalo. The Niners later confirmed the deal. A 2015 third-rounder, Harold started 10 games last season but earned poor marks from Pro Football Focus for his work at the strong side spot. Coming out of camp, the 24-year-old defender was clearly on the roster bubble. Harold was also a player who kneeled alongside 49ers safety Eric Reed last season during the national anthem to protest racial injustice. The linebacker has since changed his stance and chosen to stand during the anthem this preseason. In Detroit, he'll join a cast of linebackers fronted by Devon Kennard, Jalen Reeves-Maybin, and Jared Davis. With one of the shakier pass-rushing crews league-wide, the Lions will hope to get some help in that area from Harold. As for the Niners, Harold's exit is good news for Dakota Watson, who is likely to step into a starting role for now in San Francisco. Once again, that was per Mark Sessler, the Cecil, the Cess-man. So there you have that. That's the trade news. Let's see here. And what was another one? Gurley won't play Saturday for the Rams and Goff to sit as well. I don't believe either of these are injury related, but let's take a look. Sean McVay to the advocates of the August mantra, it's only the preseason, per Austin Knobloch. And the Los Angeles Rams coach told reporters Thursday that running back Todd Gurley will not play in Saturday's game against the Texans, and there's a chance Goff won't play either. Leave it to the 32-year-old to buck preseason Week 3 conventions by sitting two of his offensive playmakers, but there is a reason for the apparent on-the-surface madness. Starting offensive lineman Andrew Whitworth and John Sullivan. And John Sullivan, what about John Sullivan? Will not play, and Rob Havenstein is dealing with an ankle issue that could keep him out too. While Gurley definitely won't play, the door is slightly ajar for Goff if Havenstein manages to line up. Still, McVay didn't seem too confident about the Rams' faithful getting their first glimpse of Goff this week, nor does he feel Goff needs to play at some point this preseason to avoid looking rusty for Week 1. Quote, the way that we would operate if he does play is not going to be anything close to the way that we'll operate in a normal game, McVay said. We're not game planning. We're not doing things that are consistent with our normal approach. Gurley isn't brokenhearted over being on the sideline duty until September. That is everyone's dream not to play in preseason, Gurley said. Amen to that, man. Look, preseason, there is a point to it. However, there are several things that need to be done, or I guess not done, when it comes to preseason. First and foremost, the fact that there's the amount of production, pomp and circumstance, flash and flare around it as a regular game, including ticket pricing, is ridiculous. They should be free to attend. Do they need to be televised? No. You don't need to have deals with CBS, Fox Sports, NBC, or whoever else. If you've got the NFL Network, you're set, okay? Broadcast exclusively on the NFL Network. And then 2 games. That's it. a home and an away. You've got to be able to pull that off, okay? Like, I don't understand why there's a need. So, it is what it is. It's preseason. So we are going to go now to my next guest, Coach Billy Back. Now, don't forget to check out Indy's Barbershop, which is at 711 North Monroe Street in Spokane, Washington. Quality haircuts and hot towel shaves. If you go in and say, hey, I heard about you on the Fan Show, they're going to give you 15% off a quality haircut and or a hot towel shave. And I do love this barbershop. I didn't understand the barbershop until I went into one. And then I didn't understand that there was a difference in barbershops until I went into Indy's. So you need to go check out Indy's if you're in the Spokane or even the Pacific Northwest area. And it's going to do them a solid. They're a brand new business just starting out. They're at the old Time Bomb Collectibles building before they moved. So on Monroe Street, great location next to Kendall Yards. So if you need a haircut or a shave, just go down there, say, I heard about you on the Fan Show. They're going to hook you up. They're going to make you look sharp for your occasion. And there's no better experience than that of having your haircut and a hot towel shave than at a barbershop. So we'll be right back with more of the Fan Show after this. You're listening to The Fan Show, your home for all things football and nonsense. My special guest tonight, Farouk. Farouk, welcome.
He's no expert, but here's the thing. Football and nonsense is what he brings. Sports talk with a twist. It's The Fan Show!
Do you know him as Kevin from the League? It is none other than very funny Steve Ranazisi.
99% of the population doesn't know who I am, but the 1% do. They yell and scream inappropriate things at me in public.
Kyle Ray. Kyle, welcome.
And I was like, wow, I think we just saw the whole Super Bowl, Phyllis. It's like that scene in The Simpsons. Like, why rent the movie? I just saw the best part.
Funny man Brad Williams.
Yeah, I'm here. I flew in just for your podcast. I've heard about this podcast. I've heard it's fantastic.
It's Mac and Farva, but they are my special guests tonight. Steve Lemmy, Kevin Heffernan.
I was in Mexico for 10 weeks in a Speedo. Like, that was me going to work. I was putting on a Speedo.
Farva is the most fun to play, and it was a blast to do that again, to do Farva again.
So then the makeup artist had to put Vaseline on your body, right?
Yeah.
And then put the powdered sugar on top of that. Is your name really Richard Siemens?
Listen live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night on Spreaker.com or subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and SoundCloud. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with what was supposed to be guest 2 of 2, but he's 1 of 1 right now. Coach Billy Back going into his first championship weekend. There will be a media day, a trophy unveiling, and then a game. That's right. We've got to decide this thing through the ancient times of hand-to-hand and man combat known as football. How you feeling, Coach?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm excited for my first National Arena League Championship game experience, and I'm glad that I've only missed half of them at this point, since this is only the second one you guys have ever had.
Right. That's the first one for me as well.
So when it was finally said and done, I talked to Coach Schmidt, who, of course, has a lot on his plate, several plates spinning, if you want to look at it that way. He said that he was happy and excited for the city of Greensboro, but knew that his workload just increased tenfold. But for you, as the head coach, you got a game plan. You got to figure out how to get your players' minds right. Going into your first championship game, had you had any thought prior as to what your approach would be, or is this something where you were going to take it once it came to you?
We're just going to approach this as the exact same game as like our first or second game of the season. It's no different. Like I said, when you start preparing for games, like it's the most important game on the face of the earth, that's when you become tight, and that's how losses happen and poor play happens. I mean, you got to look at this game as like it's just the next game, and it really is. But there's more at stake than any other game because it's championship. But at the same time, if you don't relax and come into it as you normally would in any other game, then that's when buttholes pucker up and poor play happens, poor play calling happens, and guys just won't feed off the right energy.
What's the mood been like around the household? This was a big decision, obviously, for you to go to Greensboro in an expansion team, the Carolina Cobras, and you uprooted your family and moved them all there. But, obviously this was the ultimate goal, and now you're one game away from hoisting a trophy. The wife, the kids, everybody, feeling good about it, or has it been chaos?
They're pretty excited. I mean, I've had a lot of pressure from my daughter the last 2-3 years. We won a championship in 2014, and she keeps reminding me that we haven't won a championship, Dad, since the Venom. And when are we going to do that again? When are we going to? And Wichita Falls, that we missed the playoffs last season, and she was more disappointed than anybody else because we couldn't go back and play, in the playoffs, because she really hated the Cedar Rapids Titans, because in that playoff game we played them, they had them yellow chickens. And they played that Sweet Caroline song and went bok, bok, bok with the chickens. And every time she hears that song now, to this day, she's like, bok, bok, bok. And she goes, I hate Cedar Rapids. Hate the Titans fans. Yeah, they were calling you guys cheese puffs because we wore all yellow. So it really stuck with her. So, she reminds me about that all the time. And, so I think it's more important for her than anybody. I mean, last week she brought a fishing pole to the game with her shark onesie, whatever it is, where she puts her feet in and it's like a blanket. Had it safety pinned to the string and was carrying around like she just caught a shark. This is my 10-year-old daughter who, just so the creativity from her is pretty impressive. She's got some ideas for the Lions, and she's preparing. She was preparing, matter of fact, about 30 minutes ago. What to do for the Lions and have the best sign in the building again. So she's pretty excited. I'm excited. My wife Stacey's excited just for the fact that, all the hard work we put in through the off season, all the hard work the players have put in, the time spent, hours spent, it's paying off by, the due diligence we're doing to get back into the championship game. And, our goal is to get here, not only just to get here, but to win it. So, our job's not done, but at the same time, we're excited to be, part of it. Columbus has a great team. I was looking at the rosters today for both teams, thinking, "Wow, this is a stud star roster for both teams." And this is, some pretty impressive players, on both sides. And so it should be a great matchup. But them getting Espinosa back, it gives them definitely a little bit more of an advantage than they would with Johnson, because Espinosa is so pinpoint accurate in passing and knows the offense, and just a great dude overall. So it should be a pretty awesome game.
Well, if you want to be the best, you have to beat the best, and you certainly don't want any excuses for fans, although I'm sure that there will be. Officiating's been a hot-button topic all season long. But for you and your squad, the guys that you've had around for a long time, what was their reaction when you guys punched your ticket and knew that you were going to host a championship? Because I obviously the journey's not over yet. You'd still like to win the championship, but just, for these guys to stick by your side for so long, was there any emotion from that?
Well, it's just, when we beat Jacksonville, it was kind of like, we didn't, do a dance in the locker room like we just won the Super Bowl. They were excited going to the ship. It lasted for a good 2-3 minutes, but there wasn't anything like it was a feat of accomplishment, because it was expected. And everybody was business as usual after that. They jumped up and down, going to the ship a few times. And it was just like, all right, we'll see you guys Monday. And so it's, their preparation, and they have the same bad taste in their mouth as I do from last season with the bullshit rules the IFL had in the playoffs, keeping a 12-4 team out of the playoffs, and allowing a 8-7 team in. It's a bad feeling, that I've carried the entire offseason, carried through the entire season, and to squash the Sharks the way we squashed them last 3 times, that would prove a point. We're not only one of the best teams in the NAL, but we're one of the best teams in all of indoor football. And we feel like that we got cheated last season. And that's kind of a motivating factor for a lot of our guys this year too, to prove a point in this league. And so they played well at this point. We still got one game to go. But those guys, expect to be in the playoffs. Charles McCollum expects to be in the playoffs, the MVP race, the all league race. We got two other good quarterbacks in this league. It's a quarterback driven league. But when I say quarterbacks that throw the football. Not a game manager that run the football. There's a difference between quarterbacks and a running back. We've got 3 really good quarterbacks in this league, and I think that's what football is all about: is having the right guy and right mentality. And so Charles is, tops in the league in a lot of categories, but he expects to be in this playoff run. He expects to be in the title game every year. Walter Thomas, same thing. Mike Green, same thing. Our receiving core, everybody we have that's been with me for a while, and even the new guys, all expect to be in the championship game. That's why guys came back to play again another year, is to get that opportunity to win a title. And here we are, accomplished that goal. Now we got to finalize that goal and finish it. So, we're business as usual, but at the same time, excited and happy that we've got this opportunity to play for a championship.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Coach Schmidt was talking about how excited he was for Greensboro to host a championship, and he knows it's a Monday night game, and for whatever reason, Monday night football on any other platform than the NFL just seems odd or foreign, but he's hoping that you guys pack that arena and bring, a good championship atmosphere to the Greensboro Coliseum. What's been the biggest challenge for you outside of coaching as far as getting ready for this game?
I got an 18-month-old son who does not sit still, does not, besides him sleeping. So, I've had to have them at practices a few times, my daughter, and him. And my wife's a nurse, and so she works 3 10s each week. And it's worked out mainly the year where, she's got them during practices. But this week has been challenging. Last week was challenging because I've had them, the majority of the week while she works, during the first part of the week. And so he's almost 2. He thinks he can play football. He thinks every football is his, by saying ball, ball, ball. My daughter's preoccupied with other things at times, lets him run free. He runs onto the field in the middle of the huddle, and so we got a little shithead, 2-year-old running around out there that's, causing problems. And it's hard to concentrate and communicate, but like I said, our practices are families. Our kids our players like to bring their kids to practices. They can run, enjoy it. But I think that's the hardest thing, is juggling the family time and the prep time, because, although it is just another game, your preparation for this, you don't have to worry about watching next week's opponent, the week after the opponent film. You just focus and concentrate on just your opponent this week. And it's just been, hours and hours getting up early before the kids wake up and staying up late when the kids go to bed to watch that extra film and game plan, just to have that 1 or 2 or 3 plays that is going to be a touchdown, is going to be a first down when you run it. It's going to be the advantage for us. So it's just been juggling practice time with family time, with kid time, with wife time. But like I said, this time next week, we'll be relaxing on the beach somewhere with a cold drink in our hand, hopefully. So that's the goal.
Hey, sounds good to me. Well, I know that it's a busy time for you, exciting time, nervous time. I don't know, however you guys, handle it. Each game is just the next game, but there's got to be something a little special about a championship, especially one that you're hosting. So I will let you get back to it, and I will see you guys. Let's see, I fly in Saturday night. I'll be there for the media day Sunday, and then of course the game Monday. So I've got some time to hang out with you guys, and
What are you wearing? What are you going to wear? That's the question.
I'm leaving the normal jacket here. I'll bring a different jacket with me. So, and
Good.
Then I've got my 49ers tie if I don't find a different one to wear. But something...
What shoes you wearing?
I only have one good pair of shoes.
Let's wear... No, I think you need to wear some nice, bright tennis shoes. Something comfortable, athletic, that screams athlete. Because if you look from your ankles up, it does not scream athlete. So if your shoes are at least athletic looking, then that's what we need to go for. Something comfortable to walk around on, something bright, so they look at your shoes instead of your face. And, that's what I do. That's what I got to do. Where look at my shoes first, not my nose. So. But yeah, we got to make sure that wardrobe is athletic, because you came time here last time, wore the wrong tie. Didn't fare well for us. So. Then you had a Massachusetts shirt on for the Massachusetts game. They lost. So let's just not let's reverse the curse.
Oh, okay. We're gonna reverse the curse here.
No, but looking forward to getting here, man. I'm excited that you're coming, and it wouldn't be a championship game without you here. So we're happy you're coming. I think it's a good thing what you do with your show every week. For indoor and arena football, there's the IFL or the NAL. So one of these owners need to buck up and actually keep your show running, and help promote this league and that league. And I think somebody needs to just, step up and get the job done and fund a show, like what you do for us. So I'm behind 110%, and maybe one of these owners someday will say, you know what? I think Coach Back's right. I think we do need to make this guy our official show of the NAL or the IFL, whoever wants to pick it up first and run with it and go with it. So, that's something we need to do, help promote leagues and teams. So there's your sales pitch. Owners, whoever's listening, get on it.
Yeah, I got a one-of-one belt coming with me. It's to be the third one I've given away. So there's a player that's going to go home with some hardware from the F.A.N show. So it wouldn't be a championship
what if
without
no player wins it?
What?
What if no player? Can a coach get it?
I mean, maybe. Like, if a coach offers me a job, I don't know. I pick whoever it goes to.
Oh, that's good. That's a good one.
Or if a coach comps my hotel room, there's a few different ways. Owner could get it, comp my hotel room, stuff like that, whatever. But
I got you. Yeah, I got you. Hear that too, owner? See, he's making his demands. But no, I love the belt. I mean, it's awesome for the players. To get that after the game with it, and that's probably better than any trophy you're going to get. So it's a championship belt, personalized championship belt. So that's pretty awesome. So we appreciate that too.
All righty, Coach. Well, you have a good night. Tell the family I said hello. I will see you guys this weekend.
Yes, sir. Take care. Talk to you soon.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right, that was Coach Billy Back, and I believe Coach Gibson is ready. So we'll be right back with more of the F.A.N show after this. You're listening to The F.A.N Show, your home for all things football and nonsense. My special guest tonight, Farouk. Farouk, welcome.
He's no expert, but here's the thing. Football and nonsense is what he brings. Sports talk with a twist. It's The F.A.N Show.
Do you know him as Kevin from the League? It is none other than very funny Steve Ranazzisi.
99% of the population doesn't know who I am, but the 1% do. They yell and scream inappropriate things at me in public.
Kyle Ray. Kyle, welcome.
And I was like, wow, I think we just saw the whole Super Bowl, Phyllis. It's like that scene in The Simpsons, like, why rent the movie? I just saw the best part.
Funny man Brad Williams.
Yeah, I'm here. I flew in just for your podcast. I've heard about this podcast. I've heard it's fantastic.
It's Mac and Farva, but they are my special guests tonight. Steve Lemmy, Kevin Heffernan.
I was in Mexico for 10 weeks in a Speedo. That was me going to work. I was putting on a Speedo.
Farva is the most fun to play, and it was a blast to do that again, to do Farva again.
So then the makeup artist had to put Vaseline on your body, right?
Yeah.
And then put the powdered sugar on top of that. Is your name really Richard Siemens?
Listen live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night on Spreaker.com or subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and SoundCloud.
London.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Joining me from Columbus, Georgia, head coach of the Columbus Lions, Mr. Coach Gibson. How you doing, Coach?
Doing good.
Now, of course, you guys are no stranger to a championship setting. This is your back-to-back visit to the NAL Championship. But has this one felt Any different to you at all? Like I don't know how a team prepares to go into another championship game after being in one last season.
I don't know. It's a humbling experience. This is our fourth one in a row. When I was talking to the players tonight about it, we're lucky and blessed, to be able to know when it's your last practice. Tonight was kind of our last in the arena practice, and we already know that because there's no more games after this one. And I enjoy that feeling. It's, when you're playing during the season or you're playing a playoff game, you don't know if you're going to win or not. You never know when that last practice is coming. So to be able to play the championship 4 years in a row, we're proud of that. I'll take it.
Yeah, you guys are. It must be nice to be part of the official finale of a season, if there was such a thing. But clearly the championship being that last part of the season, and then all the production and pomp and circumstance that goes with it. You guys will have a media day, a banquets night, and then finally the game. So is this pretty much like if you didn't have it, it would feel kind of weird to you after being in that scenario 4 years running?
Wow, I've got to tell you, I've never thought about it like that. I don't want to sit here and say I'm used to it, but I guess you're kind of right, and we've kind of been in that situation. I don't want to say we get spoiled, but it's like I said, it's humbling, but also it's expected. I'm just being honest. It's expected in Columbus, no matter what your record is during the season, and we've finished undefeated and been there, and we've been the 4th seed and been there, so it doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, when it matters, we always figure out a way to pull it through.
Yeah, you guys overcame some adversity. Obviously, you're getting your quarterback back, and perfect timing, too, to say the very least. But this was a league where, it was a 4-team shuffle all season long at the top, and then Maine had to mount some sort of resurgence and kind of upset a few teams as far as seeding, not their playoff spot, but their seeding. And so here you guys in the championship, and it has not been an easy road. So, that considered and a few other things, what feels different about this championship than previous ones other than just it being a new year and a new squad?
Oh, man. There's been so much adversity with this season. The length of the season has been a game changer for us. Early in the season, we're sitting at 7-3. We're healthy. Everything's going great. We just beaten Mass, beaten Carolina, and beaten Jacksonville back to back to back. And we were playing as strong as we were. And then we go on a 10-week stretch with no bye weeks. We lose Tristan Purefoy, arguably the best receiver in the league. Then we lose Quavon Hicks to the NFL. Then we lose Nate Isles, the best lineman in my opinion, to an injury for 3 games. Then we lose Espinoza. He's out. Then we lose Neal. It's just been a constant. We got guys falling off left and right. I've got 6 guys standing out here tonight practice on crutches, and everybody does. So it's not just us. So to be honest, I haven't had a chance to really even think about where we're going. There's zero pressure on our end because we're so banged up. It's probably been the most mental coaching job I've ever done as far as off-field issues with guys coming and going and injuries. And last year, we were just locked in. When we go into the playoffs to the Jacksonville game, we were playing the best ball we could possibly be playing with what we had. We were locked in. We weren't hurt. And we went on a stretch there. And so going into the game, you could feel the hype. You can feel the intensity. This year's, there's so many obstacles in our way. It's almost like, oh, yeah, by the way, we got a game. All right, we'll show up. We'll play. And it's just been, we've kind of beat up. And I think going into the Mass game, we were finally able to put all that behind us and get back to who we were. And obviously we had a good showing. I thought we played pretty well. And Johnson was 70% completion, which was huge. And so now here, I don't know if it's going to hit me that it's really a championship game until we get there. Right now to me, it's still just another practice week, another practice day, and dealing with life.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that one. It's there'll be a certain moment where it sort of hits you all at once, and I'm sure that you're used to what specific moment that is and when it triggers. Now, for you guys, you're on the road, and you will be playing in an arena that you're familiar with after this season. But there's, about an hour's difference between Greensboro and Jacksonville. You could have been playing up in Maine. You could have been playing up in Mass or Lehigh Valley. But this is probably one of the more ideal places to play considering travel. How well does this team travel, in your opinion?
We haven't traveled well this year. You can look at my record. We lost every game on the road except, I think, not counting the playoff game. We lost every game on the road except Lehigh and Carolina. I'm not counting Lehigh. They struggled this year. So, no disrespect to that organization. It's a great organization, but they had to go through some trials and tribulations for this year. But I'm not going to count that game. So the only game we won on the road this year was at Carolina, and we won that one start to finish. We were healthy. We were ready to go. We match up well. I mean, I think certain teams in the league match up with certain teams, and certain teams had other teams' numbers. And to be honest with you, I thought matchup for matchup, I thought Mass gave us the most trouble of all the teams in the league. Those were the ones, that was the team that really, from a personnel standpoint, offset some of our one-on-one matchups that we always look to identify. I thought other teams in the league fit more in our favor. So to be able to get that one game out of the way in Mass was huge, from a game planning standpoint. But, we haven't played well on the road, but I think we figured out a formula in Mass, and we're going to try to replicate that and see what happens.
Yeah, that was certainly a big game up in Massachusetts, and there was a lot of talk about your guys' road record going into that. But I know that for you guys, obviously, no stranger to the road, no stranger to being in a championship setting, being at your fourth year in a row in one. So for you, have you developed any sort of habits, rituals, superstitions, if you will, going into a championship game now that you've done it 4 times?
I'm not on here to preach, but a long time ago I realized superstition. I believe in God, so to be superstitious doesn't matter. I'm not saying that they help us win games, but we just work hard down here. Whether I wear the same underwear or whether my belt's turned inside out or we wear the same color jerseys, that's really irrelevant for me. It's just a matter of working hard, doing our formula, preparing, and getting guys in the right position. And at the end of the day, it's like I always tell my guys, in this business, we had two players this week that are coaching high school football, couldn't be at practice because the season's too long. We had, one player who had a parent pass away, today, couldn't make practice. And so you have to deal through those adversities. And at the end of the day, we just figure out a way. That's what I say. It's what I say to the players, just got to figure out a way. Can't spend all your time complaining about things.
Well, that's good to know as far as the superstitions aside, because you're right. That's how a lot of people are. You let get to you however much you're going to let get to you, and if superstition is one less thing you have to worry about, then it's one less thing you have to worry about.
I used to be like that 5-6 years ago. I really was. I was the guy that, oh wow, if I didn't wear this pants and if I didn't wash them, and it'll drive you crazy. And then at the end of the day, just believe in yourself. Just believe in what you do. Believe in your players. And it'll work out. If it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. Trust me, there's bigger issues in the world than an arena football game.
Yeah, absolutely. So the last question I have for you then, obviously I'm sure it's gotten brought up because it's that time of the year. Last year you guys were in the championship, lost to Jacksonville. If you were to look back at last year's championship, let's say you come away with a win, would this one feel different to you because of the type of adversity you've had to overcome? Like, would this one justify losing last year, or is there even such a thing?
If we had won it last year?
Well, you guys were one of the best teams in the league last year. You are this year, but the adversity that you had to overcome that you mentioned earlier. I mean, if you had won last year, would this one feel maybe, I guess, as special as it would if you guys should end up winning this year because of that, or is it just each one's different?
Each one's different. I told the players this. Somebody made a video on YouTube, and they put it to music, and it was about the whole the game and how it ended. I think it was somebody actually on our staff, and I watched that video a lot because you could see in the video, you could see the pain in the guys' eyes at the end of that game. We had a strong bond with that team. That was a very special team that had gone through a lot together in a good way, and you really hurt for those guys. And then every year it's a different type of player, different type of team. And, with this year, with the high turnover, with the scheduling, and then, you got to figure this is our 17th game. We've had 4 bye weeks. That's 21 weeks, right? Mm-hmm. Plus 3 weeks of training camp. That's 24 weeks that we've been doing this and going through it. And so right now you're almost numb a little bit. And so it's a different feeling, and it will be gratifying, I think, when I sit back and look at it. But I think the pressure for me was to get to the game. If it sounds weird, the pressure for us was to beat Mass and get to that game. That's what I wanted to do. The cards will fall where they may. I have no worries about the game on Monday. I have no anxiety. I'm about as relaxed as we could as ever be, which is good. And I think that's how you got to play. I think you go into the game with anxiety, with the fear of losing, and I think all that pressure's, not on our end. The players definitely don't feel it because everybody's writing us off, which, we've been to almost 8 championship games in 12 years. So it's kind of fun to sit back and let everybody write us off and talk about how, how you don't have a chance and all that stuff. So it's kind of comical, but it helps us focus on our end.
Yeah, I completely understand that. Of course, never been in a championship setting myself in National Arena League, but obviously, the wanting to get to a certain point and then having the cards fall where they may, as you put it, beyond that. Yeah, completely understand. But I'm glad that you guys have found your center, so to speak, going into this final stretch of the big game weekend. You guys will have a media day, a banquets event, and then, of course, finally the game, and you guys are all used to that. So whatever you do for the rest of the week, prep and prepare. Safe travels to you and your team, and I will see you guys in Greensboro, Carolina at the Coliseum Monday night for that game. But I do want to thank you again so much, Coach, for taking the time to be on the show, the last one before the big game.
Man, I appreciate it. Thanks for all you do for arena football and just helping promote it, and I just appreciate it.
Absolutely, Coach. You take care. I'll see you this weekend.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
A little bit heavy.
All right, that is going to do it for this Thursday edition of the F.A.N Show, and we are headed full steam into National Arena League Championship weekend. Championship Monday. I almost said Sunday, but no, it's the day after Monday. Sunday's the media day. That'll be fun. But yes, Columbus Lions, Carolina Cobras, tenured vet versus an expansion team. But of course, majority of the Cobras, including Coach Back himself, no stranger to high levels of competition in championship settings. So we will see you guys from the Greensboro Coliseum Sunday and Monday. Don't forget, all new episodes next week. A special with comedian Chris Cope, who is in Spokane tomorrow. Watch for that. So I'm going to go and have a good time, and hopefully safe travels for myself as well. Going to go and see my buddies this weekend in the epic conclusion of the 2018 F.A.N Show Tour. So until next time, make sure you're following us on all the major social medias. You don't want to miss any of it. Best of luck to you and yours. Go Niners, and it's all fun and games until you butt fumble. Good night, folks.
Do you remember the time that Mark Sanchez ran into his own player's butt? That was funny sports.
Thank you for having me on the show, man. I love the F.A.N Show.